now here comes some anger. So Israel starts a ground invasion over the weekend on Gaza. One, I think it's a profoundly stupid idea, not just because it's going to kill a lot of civilians inside Gaza, but because it's a stupid idea for Israel. What are they going to do? What's their objective? They're going to go in there and they're going to destroy Hamas? Is that what's going to happen? Look, I could be wrong, and I'm not the top military expert in the world. But my common sense tells me that if they have popular support within the population, and we know they do because they won an election there that was overseen by international observers, that goes to show you that people are in favor of Hamas in Gaza as well as the Palestinian territories, including the West Bank. So you can't just go and kill them all. Now, New York Times and Newsweek are reporting that the possible secret objective of Israel, which is not that well kept a secret, is that they don't just want to stop the rocket fire from coming over from the Gaza Strip. They want to eliminate Hamas entirely. That is I believe, an unattainable goal. So you're going to sit there with the Israeli army for how many weeks, months, years until you get all of Hamas, and then you bring Fatah in to take their place, led by Mahmoud Abbas, who's now been basically banished to the West Bank. I mean, the West Bank is big. It's not like they don't have a good source of power. They do, but they've been banished from the Gaza Strip because they lost in the elections and in fighting to Hamas. So that has two problems. One, you're going to be there forever, and that occupation is not going to work out. You're on Hamas's home turf, and eventually you'll run into a lot of military problems. Number two, it has no end game. It's just like Bush invading Iraq. What are you going to do once you have it? I don't know. To be determined later. It's a terrible idea. Stupid and short-sighted. Third of all, you shouldn't be occupying Gaza or the West Bank. You should be headed towards a sensible, peaceful solution rather than the same old solution we've seen in the Middle East hundreds of times, which is war and more war, violence and more violence, and both the Palestinians and the Israelis are convinced, if we just have a little bit more violence, I bet we win. Yeah, no, that is not what history has shown, and that is not what history will show to this Israeli government. Now, we get to the issue of how the hell are they going to get out, right? And what kind of tactics are they going to use? Well, as I just explained a little while ago, I don't see how they declare mission accomplished. Would they kill every member of Hamas? And if they do, here's a critical part of it, right? They bring Fatah in, the other Palestinian group. What does that seem like to the other Palestinians? It seems like Fatah is working with Israel and that they're collaborators. In fact, Fatah leaders are now being called collaborators as we speak in the Palestinian territories. So Israel will appear to be picking the people that they want to negotiate with. So how much credibility will those people have with the Palestinians? Not very much. So what have you done? Well, what will be the end result of all of this? You will have, in my opinion, completely weakened the credibility of the group that you want to strengthen the credibility of, Fatah, because they will actually negotiate. And you will have increased the credibility of Hamas. So if they have another election, or if you really want to negotiate with the people who represent the Palestinians, will the Palestinians really believe that Fatah represents them and not Israel, since Israel will, in this grand plan, bring Fatah back into Gaza Strip and say, congratulations, we've just anointed you the leader? No, the Palestinians will not trust them. All of this violence is so counterproductive, it boggles the mind. Look at what happened with Sharon. Look, this is a good example of why they should have let Hamas just rule the Gaza Strip and try to negotiate for peace with them. Now, people will say, oh no, Hamas is intent on destroying Israel. You could never have peace with them. They won't even recognize the state of Israel. That's interesting. Does Israel recognize Hamas? Anybody? Anybody? Oh, right, they don't recognize Hamas. And not only do they not recognize Hamas, they want to destroy Hamas. And not only do they want to destroy Hamas, that is not theoretical. It's real. They just did a ground invasion to try to destroy Hamas. So now Hamas has to say, oh, you don't recognize us, and you've actually sent in tanks to destroy us, But before negotiations even begin, I have to state that I recognize you. Why? Now, in my opinion, Hamas would be far better served if they did recognize Israel and already went to the negotiations. But I understand the frustration of everyday Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip that say there seems to be an imbalance here in what is demanded in negotiations. And there absolutely is. So, even if they have a deal with Fatah at this point, if they bring him into Gaza Strip, if they actually win, those are all enormous ifs, those are the best case scenarios, I don't think that that deal will be taken seriously by the actual Palestinian people. I hope it is. But you've gone about it all the wrong way, and I think all you've done is help Hamas, to be honest with you. What they're going to accept defeat, and the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip are going to say, oh yeah, Hamas no longer exists, Israel wiped them out, and instead they brought in Fatah, and I trust them. Because I really trust Israel. Do you think the Palestinians trust Israel? Is that the impression you're under? It's ridiculous.